This week, unfortunately, we got some bad news as Witcher fans, or if you just like to watch whatever's on Netflix. So you know how The Witcher was filling in the fantasy drama void and could have been the best post-Game of Thrones fantasy show? Well, just after 2 seasons, Henry Cavill has already announced that he's quitting. Good news, though, is that Cavill will still play the role in Season 3, but not after that. Bad news is Liam Hemsworth, worth less than the other one, has already been cast as Geralt. You know, the guy that was in Hunger Games and nothing else? Why Cavill left could be a number of reasons. He's reprising his role as Superman, he could be the next Bond, or it could be that the writers of the Witcher TV show don't care about the source material and apparently even openly mock it. According to Bo DiMaio, who is a producer and writer on the show, saying that he's been on TV shows, namely The Witcher, where some of the writers were not fans or actively disliked the books and games, even actively mocking the source material. It's a recipe for disaster and bad morale. Fandom as a litmus test checks egos and makes all the long nights worth it. You have to respect the work before you're allowed to add to its legacy. This is a trend that continues in Hollywood, which is that producers and companies don't care about what they're creating and only care about making money off it, which is the real problem with media these days, not activism. Movies don't suck now because of a woman protagonist or because a show has a message, but because no one cares about writing an original story or creating something interesting with an already established property. And instead trying to cash in on the property by putting together half-assed adaptations. So I don't have a problem with someone changing source material and making a great product with it. Keeping to source material doesn't mean the project is going to be good, and going completely off script doesn't mean it's going to be bad. Like The Shining, for example.
Here's Johnny!
But to openly mock the material and show no respect for what you're adapting, I don't see what the point is. I just don't understand why you'd want to work on something you don't care about. So weirdos on the internet can argue that activism and messages are bad and act like subtext doesn't exist, but money and financing terrible adaptations is the problem, which, you know, sounds like one of those isms, but just forget that part. Anyway, that's a story for another day. Now, another reason why Cavill could be quitting is that Geralt doesn't get the introspection that the character would get in both the games and the books, which is something people commented on in the first season, which is that the character always looked pissed off, and you don't get to see any nuance in the character and what he's thinking in each of these scenes. Liam Hemsworth said that he's got some boots to fill, which is true, because at this point it's hard to see anyone else play the role, which Cavill had to fight to prove himself as people weren't impressed with his initial casting, though at this point he's what holds the series together. And I'm not saying that Liam Hemsworth can't look like the character, but I don't see him bringing out the character that Cavill has done, or has been trying to do. The reactions to the news keep getting more extreme and hilarious. People are now calling for the writers to be replaced instead of Cavill, with a petition that has 62,000 signatures and growing, which says, let us show them in pure numbers, and thus lost money, because that's all they really care about, that none of us Witcher fans will stand with them and will abandon the show and potentially our subscriptions after The Witcher Season 3 is concluded. I'm still going to watch it and see where the show goes. I'm not boycotting, but I don't see how the show's going to be the same with Liam Hemsworth as the frontrunner. What I want to know is, did they really test Liam Hemsworth, or did they just pick the most famous person that was interested? They probably picked him as he can probably get into shape quickly for the role, or because they couldn't get the more famous brother, but who knows. Someone said that Luke Hemsworth, the least famous one, should do the role as he's already got wig experience from the Thor movie. I just think it's a bad look when the guy who cares for the source material more than anyone associated with the project wants to quit, especially when it's the main character, which is always a bad look. No one wants to see the main character change, but also the series has made fans skeptical since the beginning. You know, like the Nilfgaardian armor looking like a scrotum. They should have just kept going and added some hair. But after the show started, most people were happy with the show, and a big part of this was Cavill's performance. So how did they fail so hard at keeping the biggest fan from leaving and staying invested in something he loves? After this, it reads bad news for Netflix and the chaotic nature of Netflix, where no one can trust that the shows that they get invested into will finish, or at least continue in the way that they were when they first got invested. I'm sure that this is going to affect Netflix's stocks, but also it plays into the meme that Netflix shows only last 3 seasons. In this case, though, instead of being cancelled, they changed the main character. So Netflix can't catch a break. Even when they don't cancel a show, they still piss everyone off. So what do you guys think? Are you still going to watch The Witcher after season 3 is over? Or are you going to boycott the show like some are saying and you'll just stick with House of the Dragon?